Stop lying to yourself. You are not a martyr of kindness. You are a victim of your own ego's need to be a savior. You walk away from these people feeling hollow because you've traded your life force for the cheap dopamine of being needed. Let's be brutal. If someone is draining your energy, it is because you have a leak. Your soul is not a fortress. It is a broken vessel leaking light into a void that can never be filled. You call them vampires, yet you are the one holding the vein open. In the mirror of karma, there are no innocent victims, only willing participants in a toxic dance of codependency. Your exhaustion is a violent scream from your higher self, telling you that your compassion is actually a lack of boundaries, a spiritual bankruptcy disguised as holiness. You think you are saving them? You are merely feeding a ghost that will never be satisfied, and in the process, you are committing a slow suicide of the spirit. This isn't about their toxicity. It's about your addiction to their chaos. You've turned your heart into a public utility, and now you're surprised the grid is failing. If you stay in this frequency, you won't just be tired. You will become the very darkness you claim to heal. The value contract is simple. In the next 9 minutes, I will strip away the delusion of your goodness to reveal the algorithm of your suffering. We are going to debug the fatal flaw in your spiritual code that invites these predators to your table. If you don't have the courage to face the thief in your own reflection, then turn this off now. Because the truth won't set you free until it finishes making you miserable. You're sitting there, wondering why your chest feels like an empty cavern, why the very air you breathe seems stolen before it reaches your lungs. I'm not here to tell you it's going to be okay. I'm here to tell you why you let them do it. You've been wearing your exhaustion like a badge of spiritual honor, haven't you? You tell yourself that you are the strong one, the healer, the one who can handle the darkness of others. But let's strip away that noble mask. Behind your compassion lies a terrifying, silent void, a desperate need to be the source of someone else's survival. Your trauma has whispered a lie into your ear since childhood, that your worth is measured by how much of yourself you can give away until there is nothing left. You aren't practicing patience. You are practicing self-annihilation. Every time you pick up the phone for that person who only calls to dump their poison into your soul, you aren't being a bodhisattva. You are being a company conspirator in your own destruction. In the mirror of karma, this person, this vampire you despise, is actually providing you with a mirror to your own lack of self-boundary. They are only taking what you have placed on the table for free. You feel guilty the moment you think about walking away. That guilt isn't a sign of your goodness. It's the sound of the chains your ego has wrapped around your neck. You are terrified that if you aren't the giver, you will become invisible. You've built an entire identity out of being a lighthouse, but you've forgotten that a lighthouse doesn't run toward the ships to save them. It stands its ground, solid and unmoving, or it crashes into the rocks along with them. Your empathy has become a backdoor for every wandering ghost of someone else's unresolved trauma. You've turned your heart into a trash bin for their emotional waste, because you don't think you deserve a clean sanctuary. Look at your hands. They are trembling because they are carrying the weight of worlds that aren't yours to save. You think you're being Zen, but true Zen is the sharp edge of a sword that cuts through delusion. True compassion is the courage to let someone face their own suffering so they can finally grow. By feeding their addiction to your energy, you are robbing them of their own evolution and robbing yourself of your life. It's time to stop the leak. It's time to realize that saying no is the most spiritual act you can perform right now. If you can feel this truth burning in your gut, not as a comfort, but as a fire, then you are finally starting to wake up. This is the part where you stop being the host and start being the gatekeeper. If you've been the one who always gives until it hurts, type "I am reclaiming my light" in the comments. Not for me, but to signal to your own subconscious that the banquet for vampires is officially over. We are closing the gates. Now that we've touched the wound, we must look at the code that keeps it open. You understand your pain, but understanding is not liberation. It is merely a diagnostic report. The reason you remain exhausted isn't because you are kind. It's because your spiritual architecture is suffering from a legacy system failure. In the language of Dharma, karma is the ultimate automated algorithm. And right now, your algorithm is stuck in a self-destructive loop. You've been socialized to believe that maintaining a connection with a vampire is a virtuous act of tolerance. But in the reality of energy dynamics, this is nothing more than a memory leak in your soul's CPU. Every toxic interaction is a background process that you refuse to end task, and it is consuming 90% of your emotional bandwidth. Think about the internal conflict you face every time your phone lights up with their name. That split-second hesitation is your system trying to trigger a firewall alert. But then, your outdated ego OS overrides the security protocol with a line of corrupted code: "I must help them to be worthy." This is what we call karmic malware. It doesn't just steal your energy, it reconfigures your identity to believe that being drained is your natural state. You are not a human being in their eyes. You are a portable battery, a low-cost resource they exploit because your access permissions are set to public. Let's look at the mirror of karma through the lens of a data breach. Why do you attract these users? Because your aura is broadcasting a free Wi-Fi signal to every broken soul in a 10-mile radius. You have no encryption on your heart. You have no security layers on your time. You are running a vulnerability exploit on yourself by prioritizing their chaos over your peace. When you stay in a room with someone who sucks the life out of you, you aren't being a bodhisattva. You are allowing an unauthorized remote access Trojan to take control of your emotional server. This is the point of maximum internal conflict. Your soul wants to upgrade to a higher frequency, a version of you that is vibrant, creative, and sovereign. But your trauma response hardware is terrified of the system update. It fears that if you hit delete on these parasitic connections, your world will be empty. It fears the silence of a clean drive. But I am telling you that silence is where your power lives. You cannot download the new version of your life until you clear the cache of these old, rotting spirits. You are currently a high-end machine trying to run heaven-tier software on a drive full of digital garbage. The mirror of karma shows you that the thief isn't just outside. The thief is the part of you that believes you don't deserve a closed circuit. It's the part of you that values the opinion of a parasite over the health of the host. If you don't perform this system format now, you will eventually face a total hard drive crash. What people call a nervous breakdown. That breakdown is just your soul's way of forcing a factory reset, because you refuse to do it manually. We are moving to the final stage of this operation. It is time to stop being the victim of the algorithm and start being the programmer. If you stay with me for these last few minutes, I will give you the manual for the great reboot. The banquet for ghosts is over. We are about to encrypt your peace. The diagnostic is complete. The malware has been identified. Now we execute the master override. Wisdom without action is just more data cluttering your drive. To reclaim your life force from the energy thieves, you must implement 3 core protocols starting the moment this video ends. First, the Firewall protocol. Stop explaining yourself. In the architecture of power, no is a complete sentence and a high-level encryption. You do not owe a vampire an explanation for why you are closing the vein. When you explain, you create a handshake of vulnerability they can exploit to keep the connection open. Silence is your strongest defense. Let them call you cold. Your only responsibility is to keep your core temperature stable. Second, the resource allocation protocol. Every morning, you have a limited amount of spiritual credits. Before you give a single credit to anyone else, you must hardwire your own system through 5 minutes of silent observation. If a connection feels like it's dragging your CPU speed down, you must quarantine it. This means setting a time limit on interactions or moving them to read-only mode. Listen, but do not process their toxins into your heart. Third, the karmic formatting. Understand that by letting them go, you are actually performing the highest act of compassion for their soul as well. You are stopping the enabling script. You are forcing their system to face its own lack of power, which is the only way they will ever seek their own upgrade. You are not abandoning them, you are releasing them to their own evolution. Look at the mirror of karma one last time. The person looking back at you is no longer a leaking vessel. You are a sovereign sanctuary. The golden light you've been seeking isn't something you get from others. It's the default setting of your soul once you stop the leaks. You have the source code. You have the keys. The banquet for ghosts is officially over. The firewall is active. Now go out and live a life that is so vibrant, so encrypted with peace, that no thief would even dare to approach your gate. This is your reboot. This is your Dharma. Welcome back to your power.